So COVID-obsessed Democrats can't get enough of following the science, except when it comes to the power of natural immunity. And yet study after study shows us that natural immunity has been a stronger deterrent from COVID than the vaccine. In a Washington Post op-ed, Johns Hopkins professor Dr. Martin Makary cites the following. A 700,000-person study from Israel 2 weeks ago found that those who had experienced prior infection were 27 times less likely to get a second symptomatic COVID infection than those who were vaccinated. But politicians like Oregon Governor Kate Brown don't want to hear anything about what the science actually says. She would rather just force people to get the jab instead. But one Oregon fire chief is suing Brown for her executive order that will require healthcare workers to be vaccinated. Or Fire Chief Williams says he has had COVID and considers vaccine mandates to be un-American. That fire chief joins me now alongside his attorney, Rebecca Milliard. Chief, thanks so much for your courage and coming on the program today. Can you tell me how you reached this breaking point? Because a lot of Americans feel just like you.
Right. So we've been dealing with this pandemic since it began. Both on a personal level and on a professional level. And we have gone through the past 18 months working hard to keep people safe. We've had mandate after mandate, shutdown after shutdown. And then a few weeks ago, we had our governor give us a mandate that we had to have vaccinations, and mandatory vaccinations, as well as having the option to test weekly. And then about a week later, that test was taken away from us. So the mandate was to have only a vaccine. I've been in an emergency service for 28 years, making decisions that impact people's lives every day. I can sure as hell make a decision what I put in my own body.
What did they tell you, sir, when you made this decision?
Well, I've made this decision. Basically, what has happened is the state of Oregon has also told me as an employer that I cannot employ a firefighter or a volunteer firefighter. They're telling me that come October 18th, I have to get rid of those people, and I'm not going to do it. And I'm willing to lose my job over that.
Yeah, that's where it starts, when Americans start fighting back. Rebecca, you have the legal case. What do you plan on saying in court?
Well, thank you, Lawrence. I'm planning to say that with regard to these plaintiffs, Mr. Williams and the others on the lawsuit, this is a mandate, a law that doesn't make sense. And I think it's a pretty low bar to say our laws, our regulations, our mandates have to at least make sense.
Is it unconstitutional?
I certainly think that it is unconstitutional. As you know, if there's a significant government interest or compelling government interest, certain regulations are allowed. And we could all say probably COVID is a compelling, situation. There's an emergency, there's a pandemic, or there has been at least in the past. But that doesn't do away with that bottom line requirement that laws and regulations have to make sense. And if someone has natural immunity that's better than an injection could give you, then it doesn't make sense to require them to go and get a vaccine on top of that. That's what the lawsuit's about.
It doesn't make sense. You're exactly right. Josh, the governor, I imagine she hasn't had the courage to pick up the phone and call you, even though you've almost given your city almost 30 years of service. So if you had the opportunity to look her in the eyes, what would you tell her?
I would tell her to let people make their own decision. This is not about science. This is about power. And the people have had enough. Yeah. And I'm not going to put up with it anymore.
Yeah. And you're speaking up for the people all across the country, sir, not just in your town. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all joining the program.